Sawing wood. Understanding the inherent characteristics of wood is fundamental for any woodworker, from the seasoned professional to the weekend hobbyist. Each piece of timber tells a story through its grain, color, and texture, but it also carries a history of growth that can manifest as various defects. These are not necessarily flaws that render the wood useless. Rather, they are natural occurrences that must be understood and managed. The way a log is sawn into lumber can either highlight, mitigate, or even create these defects, profoundly influencing the final quality, appearance, and structural integrity of your boards. A skilled sawyer knows how to read a log, anticipating how knots, checks, and grain irregularities will behave under the blade. This knowledge is crucial because the initial cuts at the sawmill set the stage for everything that follows. It's determining the usability and value of the resulting lumber. By learning to identify these common defects and understanding their relationship with different sawing techniques, you can make more informed choices when selecting materials and achieve far better results in your projects. One of the most recognizable wood defects is the knot. Knots are essentially the remnants of branches that were once part of the living tree. As the tree's trunk grew in diameter, it enveloped these branches, creating a discontinuity in the grain structure. There are several types of knots, each with different implications. Alive or tight. Knot is from a branch that was alive when the tree grew around it and is firmly intergrown with the surrounding wood. These are generally stable and can add desirable character. Conversely, a dead or loose knot is from a branch that had died and was not integrated with the trunk's subsequent growth. These can easily fall out, leaving a hole. The sawing method plays a significant role here. Plane sawing, the most common and economical method. Cut straight across the log, often resulting in round or oval knots that can weaken the board. Quarter sawing and rift sawing, which cut radially or perpendicular to the growth rings, can change the knot's appearance to a spike or slash, which may be less structurally compromising and sometimes more visually appealing depending on the desired aesthetic. Another critical defect to manage is checking and splitting. Checks are lengthwise separations of the wood fibers that don't go through the entire board, while splits go all the way through. These are typically caused by stresses that develop as the wood dries and shrinks unevenly. The ends of a board, known as the end grain, lose moisture much faster than the faces, leading to the formation of end checks. Surface checks can appear on the face of a board for similar reasons. The sawing pattern directly impacts the wood's susceptibility to these issues. For example, flat-sawn lumber, with its tangential grain pattern, is more prone to surface checking and cupping as it dries. Quarter-sawn lumber, on the other hand, is dimensionally more stable. Its radial grain pattern means it shrinks and swells less in width and is less likely to cup, twist, or develop surface checks. Proper drying techniques after sawing are paramount, but starting with a more stable cut like quarter-sawn provides a significant advantage in minimizing these drying-related defects from the outset. Warping is a broad term that encompasses several deviations from a board's true. Flat plane, including bowing, crooking, cupping, and twisting. These distortions are also a result of differential shrinkage during the drying process. The internal stresses within the wood, often originating from how the tree grew, are released during sawing and drying. A bow is a warp along the length of the board's face, while a crook is a warp along its edge. Cupping is when the board warps across its width, forming a U-shape. And twist is when the corners are no longer in the same plane. Flat-sawn boards are particularly susceptible to cupping because the growth rings on the face are parallel to the surface, causing one side to shrink more than the other. Quarter-sawn and rift-sawn lumber, with their more vertically oriented grain, are far more resistant to warping. A sawyer can also influence this by boxing the heart, which means sawing around the pith or center of the log. The juvenile wood near the pith is inherently unstable and prone to severe warping, so isolating it helps produce more stable lumber from the rest of the log. Understanding this relationship allows you to select the right cut for the right application. Choosing quarter-sawn for a stable tabletop, or accepting some potential movement in flat-sawn boards for a more rustic project.